In this tutorial, we'll look at the first prerequisite skills listed in the Red Hat Exam Prep Guide. Linux administrators need an in-depth knowledge of standard command line tools. As described in the prerequisites, they allow you to create, remove, view, and investigate files and directories. We'll examine the commands from the list of prerequisites one by one. The ls command lists files in the current directory, but wait a second. Linux commands and file names are case sensitive. Most commands are in lowercase. The ls commands list files in the current directory. With the right switches, the ls command can be especially useful in finding permissions. The ls-l command lists permissions in the left-hand column. It lists file sizes in the middle. For example, the changelog -2.6.19.1 is about 27 kilobytes large. It can help you list hidden files. Hidden files start with a dot. It can help you find the newest files in a directory. If you specify ls-t, it lists the newest file first. You can reverse the order. If you run ls-tr, the newest file is listed last. You can combine switches. I sometimes run the ls-ltar command, which lists all files in the current directory, including hidden files, in reverse chronological order. Next, the cp command copies files. One straightforward way to use it is to back something up. For example, before I edit the smb.conf configuration file, I usually back it up. A straightforward way to do so is to copy from the original file name to a logical backup file name, as shown. Now I can edit the smb.conf configuration file, and if I screw it up, I can restore from a backup. With various switches, I can copy directories recursively. For example, I often use the copy with archives recursive command, cp-ar, to copy all files and subdirectories. For example, if I wanted to copy the rhct directory from my home directory, the home directory is symbolized by the tilde, rhct, to the temp directory, I'd run this command. And now I can find a copy of my rhct directory in the temp directory, along with the files therein. Next, the move command copies files and then deletes the original. One way it can be useful is to restore from a backup. Let's say I screwed things up with my Samba configuration file. I run the move command, mv, and I'm restoring from my backup file. And now the backup file no longer exists. It's been used to overwrite the original file. Next, the remove command, rm, deletes files and directories. With the right switches, it can work recursively. For example, the following command deletes all files and subdirectories from the home student rhct subdirectory. But this command can be very dangerous. If I make a mistake and put a space between the first slash and the rest of the command, I would delete all files in my top-level root directory, and then everything would be gone. And then the rm command would try to find the files in the home/student/rhct subdirectory. But by then, my system would be a disaster. So use the rm-rf command with extreme caution. Now let's look at a couple of commands that can look inside files. The tail command can be especially useful for log files. For example, if you're monitoring new logs, you can run the following command in one console. And watch as new messages. Whoops, this requires root privileges, which I'll cover in another tutorial. And I can watch as new log messages are added to this file. The cat command is straightforward. It lists the contents of a given file. Let's see how that works on the standard user password database file. We'll look at more commands in upcoming tutorials, but for now, practice what you've learned. Check out the man pages for each of these commands. See what else you can learn. The tips and tricks you learn can save you time during the exam and in real life as a Linux administrator. Thank you, and on to the next tutorial.